Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Realistically, a show where we uncloak the propaganda and disinformation campaign in the modern times.
Ooh, I like that.
Thank you. I worked on it for a really long time.
I like it. I hadn't heard it yet. So, hello, everyone. Hello, Patamilo.
Hello, Petaniemilo. I don't know how to pronounce his name.
I say Patamilo.
Okay, I call it peta, but no, I'm confusing it. In Portuguese, if you have H N, it's nia, and HG is nia. So I thought it was something like that, but or maybe it's G A. It doesn't matter.
I don't know.
Can everybody hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Excellent.
Hello.
So
go ahead.
We were talking about how to pronounce one of our most loyalist audience members' name. And I might be confusing the H for the Cyrillic H. I don't know why, because that's an N. So who knows why I'm misreading it.
Yeah. I don't know.
Peta Milo. I don't know. Okay, not. We'll teach us how to pronounce your name. Anyways, where do we begin?
We gotta make a media for the left.
For the what?
I learned where to begin. We got to make a media. We need media.
Oh yeah. Well, oh yes. As in, you were talking about Lenin's where to begin.
Yes.
You need to make an all-Russian newspaper where we look at the struggles of the proletariat and try to unite their struggles into a common cause.
There you go.
And then we need to raise a Red Army.
All right. Well,
and then have a revolution. We're still not even at step 0.
I think what we were going to begin on was this article.
Oh yeah. Okay. So being a genocidal maniac seems to be a very unpopular way to get laid.
Yes, it does. It does seem to be that way.
Okay, so let's read and make let's read and make fun of this article because apparently Zionists are complaining that they can't get laid.
All right. So, do you want me to read it, or you want to read it? You want me to read it?
I can read it.
Okay, here we go.
Hinge and Tinder are swamped with anti-Zionism, say Jewish singles. Online dating is not immune to the October 7th effect, say Jewish singles. Many Jews are giving up dating apps because of the vitriol directed at Zionists. I wonder why. Like watching the other day, I watched a video of them killing this 70-year-old man who was clearly in his bed, very helpless, no guns. He's no way a terrorist. And then they were all cheering it afterwards. And this was captured by his own GoPro footage.
Wow, that sounds like such a huge upgrade from the one I saw recently, which was they fed an old dude to a dog.
Oh yeah, that was gross.
That's the one that's in my mind now, and this is something I saw in my sworn process of avoiding videos like that.
Yes. Oh yeah, and then they said, "Whoa, look at the beautiful sunshine. That guy is getting really torn up."
Oh no!
Yeah, there was one comment from some Israeli that was like, "And people say there's no food in Gaza."
Yeah, that was so gross. Yeah. Okay.
Whole country full of these fuckers.
Okay.
There's a woman that does like she does lives on TikTok, and that's all she does. And she was, I guess, an ex-Muslim, and now she's a Zionist, and she is disgusting. She was sitting there eating, making like eating in front of the camera, talking about how they're not starving, and the only ones that are starving are because the Hamas is is not giving them food. That's why they're.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing people don't understand. Hamas would not be in power since 2006 if they were corrupt or if they were not giving them food, because they were better than the PLO at distributing food, aid, everything. That's why
There's a really funny post that was like, show me somebody who's pro Hamas but anti-Palestine. Netanyahu.
Yep, he funded Hamas to drive a wedge between them and the PLO.
Yeah.
And it backfired on him. Okay, so let's continue with this. Meet 26-year-old Amy. She's single. She likes puppies, but puppies eating children, I guess, and is looking for a date on Hinge. But it's just not good-looking men she's after. She goes crazy for a free Palestine. At least that's what her dating profile says. Oh, no, Amy doesn't like genocide. Amy wants a free Palestine. I like Amy.
She likes puppies. She likes good puppies. She
likes good puppies and Palestine. What I would marry her if I. Felicity tells singles on Hinge, the way to win me over is having a higher emotional intelligence than a turtle, loving spicy food, and being pro-Palestine.
I can give
those
you
are excellent criteria for a mate. How can you like really? Oh, okay. I should not be talking because with the guy I'm dating, I do have to dumb down Indian food for him a little bit. But he loves Indian food. It's just I have to make it a little less spicy. Yusuf says, the dorkiest thing about me is I write poems in my spare time. Underneath these words is a photograph of him waving a Palestinian flag. I like Yusuf. Lauren cuts the chase by simply saying, no Zionists. Lee wants to make sure we're on the same page about free Palestine. So does Savannah and Boris and Michaela. Wonderful people.
Yeah.
Like how you crucified that last one for like no reason.
I did?
Yeah, it's not Michaela, it's Michaela.
Michaela. Okay. Perhaps we shouldn't be surprised that, like everything else in the world since October, dating has become an anti-Israel and anti-Jewish minefield. No, it has not become an anti-Jewish minefield. It looks like people just don't like genocidal maniacs. If you're a genocidal maniac, you're not going to get laid.
It's not a minefield when Al-Qassam is putting the mines directly on the tanks, like just like at zero range with GoPro that's on their heads.
Exactly.
Like with a tent full of Zionists 5 feet away, noticing nothing.
Yes, I saw that video. That was very weird how they didn't notice.
And then they all just jump back down the spider hole like Bugs fucking Bunny.
Yeah. And no, but there was one interview where this guy was like, I trained for 3 years in like this tough terrain and stuff like that. And I'm like, wait, did I waste all this training against them?
Yeah, I spent 3 years doing 4 hours of planks a day, training my mind and body to kill the devil, and it's these fucking guys.
Yeah. Although there are some pro-Israel profiles, most of the messages flow in one direction. Jewish singles on Hinge tell the JC that between 1 in 10 and 1 in 3 of their matches have something anti-Israel in their profile. Absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
What's more, while app algorithms are challenging to pin down, Jewish daters say that their matches have gone down since the war started, and they think it has something to do with the Jew stamp on their profile. Now, it has something to do with the Israeli flag.
It's not a Jew stamp, okay? Nobody put a bright yellow Star of David on you.
No, you put the Israeli flag, or like a video of the or you put or do you remember the IDF guy for the Tinder profile had Palestinian underwear?
Oh, I didn't realize he put that on his Tinder profile.
Yeah, that was his Tinder profile.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Nazis cry too because people don't want to date them either. So
yeah. I mean, if you're doing genocide, no one wants to date a psycho who wants to.
I cannot fathom joining either of these apps, and like this whole article is doing like absolutely nothing to dissuade me from that, honestly. Like, especially if I like the guy put the Palestinian underwear that he stole on his pro. I don't want to be on the same app as that guy.
No, but that guy is not getting the thing is that guy is not getting laid.
Obviously, like still.
Yeah. Singles can tell prospective partners that they are Jewish on several of the main dating apps if they have set there's a typo, set that on their profile. It falls under the category religion rather than the ethnicity category.
Well, that makes sense given that that's what words mean.
Exactly. There is no setting for being anti-Israel, but daters have found other ways to broadcast their views.
Good.
The main apps all prefer active users. The more you use them, and
judging by the numbers, like the other way to broadcast your view is just like being a regular person.
Yeah. And with profiles, the more the app understands who you're interested in. So what happens when Jewish singles, not Jewish singles, Zionist psychos, are simply outnumbered by the sheer volume of anti-Israel profiles? Now so look at the name of the magazine that printed this article, the JC, okay? This gets really funny. Okay, so now I'm going to read the next paragraph. It gets hilarious. JC editor at large, Stefan Pollard, took to Twitter to express his frustration with the number of anti-Zionist profiles on Hinge. I noticed a few weeks after October 7th that some profiles started to show the Palestinian flag, he says. I didn't think much of it, but something has happened more recently. It's not yet the majority of the profiles I see now say no Zionists. Now this gets a little bit even worse. Now divorced, 59-year-old Stephen downloaded Hinge last summer. A few months of swiping later, Palestinians' flags started appearing. So he's the editor of this magazine, and he wrote an entire article to complain about how he's not getting laid.
Yeah.
Okay, no one wants to date a 59-year-old divorced creep.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's not exactly the target demographic for these apps, like regardless.
Yeah, like what woman would be like 59-year-old weirdo psycho editor at a loser magazine is not.
The thing is, plenty of Jewish people probably are getting dates and have no problem with the no Zionists.
No, the majority of Jews are not Zionists. Like that's just a fact.
Yeah. Okay, let's continue. I don't have a problem with the Palestinian flag. People, they can share whatever flag they like, but the people who post no Zionists are basically saying no Jews. It's what they think in an acceptable way of saying it. No, it's not. And you're like, he literally commissioned an article in his own magazine because he can't get laid. What kind of loser is that?
I would also like to say that I know that there are actual anti-Zionists, anti-Semites out there who would specifically say no Jews. But those aren't these people. These are
historically and currently, anti-Semites love Israel because it keeps the Jews over there while also exterminating brown people.
Yeah.
That's why Alfred Rosenberg was such a big fan of the entire Zionist project.
Oh yeah, Alfred. No, but the other guy was even a bigger one.
Well, I mean, they're the very tiny Zionist community within the German Jewish community at the time of the Nazi rule. I mean, they actively collaborated with the Nazi parties. Like,
no, I know, but there was another guy who was an even bigger Zionist and had never. Doesn't matter. Oh, Himmler or Eichmann? Who knows? Okay.
I think it was Himmler, but like this next sentence is my favorite one through the entire article.
It's like the signs that used to read "No blacks, no Jews, no dogs, no Irish."
I love how like even in this in this context of citing a sign that like there's like genuine debate about like whether or not like these signs actually even really existed, but like when he like reinvents it, he still puts the Irish after dogs.
Yeah.
But like what really like gets me with this is like, okay, so like okay, I'll play along for like 5 seconds here and say like, okay, so if you think that like saying no Zionist means saying like no Jews, then like why does it matter? Why like you're not fucking anybody that you would want to fuck anyway. Like,
No, but that's the thing. He wants to. This is the thing. He says like he doesn't. I don't have a problem with. So he wants to fuck people with Palestinian flags.
I have no idea what he's even complaining about. It doesn't
He
make
can't
sense.
get laid. That's what his main complaint is.
He's an incel.
Yeah.
Yeah,
basically. A divorce. Now he's incel. He was divorced.
He's a 59-year-old divorced incel.
He's 10 years away from the funny number too. Like if he was 69 years old, he might be able to like swing that as a joke on one of these sites.
But like where he should be meeting. Where does he meet women of his own age?
Like I have actually no idea where old people go to like meet other old people to fuck.
Yeah. Where do they? I don't either.
This is where old people. Well, 59 might be a little too young, but where old people should go is. Have you ever gone to the housing developments that are like all like elderly and stuff like that?
Oh
the
yeah.
Women they're desperate. They want men. Like you show up there as a man and you're like 70 years old, they're gonna be all over you.
Yeah, no, that's great. Since 1997, when Viagra hit the market, STDs among retirement age and up people shot up like 500% in 2 years and never really went down.
Well, it's their final years. They can have syphilis. They can have syphilis, and it's not gonna like
exactly. Your nose isn't gonna fall off in like the 15 years you got left. You just raw dog each other.
Yeah. Steven says there are masses of Palestinian flags on Hinge. And he's come across profiles of women who say no TERFs, no Tories, free Palestine. Those are fantastic women.
Yeah, that sounds great.
He's mad at the no TERFs too, and the no like.
Yeah.
Why would you state like the people that you don't want to like? It's a dating app. You want to match with people that have like some of your same values.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like, why is he like concerned about like matching with like these people that he thinks are just putting up no Jews signs on their dating profile? Like,
okay. This gets funny,
man. But then he brings up for no reason like the TERFs thing. So like, why is that making you mad, man? It's almost like you're some kind of fascist or something.
He is. It's putting me off the app. Okay, no one wants you on the. Obviously, you can't get laid on the app. I'm sure no one wants you in the app. Just turn it off, dude.
Yeah. No one asked you to like
come
to the party.
22-year-old Hannah, not her real name, also has distanced herself from dating apps since realizing how many potential matches were diametrically opposed to her when it came to Israel. Hannah wants to match with like-minded left-wing women. Okay, they don't. Okay, left-wing means you are opposed to a fascist ethno-state that is exterminating people en masse. Therefore, you cannot be pro-Israel and left-wing at all.
Yeah, I would like to match with like the like-minded moderate wing of fascism, please.
Yeah. Before the war, I said on Hinge I was liberal and interested in politics. I've taken that off now, says Hannah. Okay, that's probably a good idea. I'm hiding that aspect of myself because all the other girls on there who are into politics seem to hate Jews. No, they hate you because you're a Zionist, and a good idea to hide that aspect. You should hide
there's
it.
a difference between like hating Jews and hating you.
Yeah, and definitely hide more aspects of yourself. It's probably going to get you more dates. It's frustrating, she says, because I want to meet people who I can talk to about the world. You shouldn't. But if they're saying no Zionists, that doesn't leave much room for me. Israel is not the world.
Yeah, by talk about the world, I mean like talk about this world I've created where like there were no maps before the year 1948.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. Hannah, whose profile says she's Jewish, has also noticed a significant drop in likes since the war started. Okay. I used to get 5 a day, but now it's more like 1 per day or 0. She says, adding that some of her friends have taken Jewish off their profiles. After October 7th, I know friends were worried that potential matches might shy away from Jewish matches, fearing awkward political discussion. I didn't think Israel would become so important to my dating life, she says. I think now I'm looking for a different match on the app than the person I was after before the war. Okay.
She's turning right wing.
She's truly the Gone with the Wind of our times.
She's doing the whole see, you made me right wing. You made me date right wingers.
Like,
okay. They seem to be more of your cup of tea. I think, okay, some daters have switched to Jewish only dating apps. J-Swipe, J-Date are options, but they're both based in the US and several things.
Hinge was a bad name for a dating app, and then I saw J-Swipe. Like, yeah. Like, wow, that just doesn't read or look right.
Okay. Both based in the US and several singles said there are simply not enough people on these apps in certain parts of the UK. Others have set their preferences to Jewish on mainstream apps, but this came with its own challenges.
If you like, why don't you just move to Israel and date there? Is
something exactly
doing that? Like, don't they like honestly like a whole lot of vacancies just moved up since all these Israelis that have nowhere else to go apparently have somewhere else to go and can buy tickets to that place on an app and are doing so to avoid conscription into the military.
Oh yeah. No, these are people located in West Bank, like West Bank in the settlement too. Okay. Israel. Okay. Okay. Zach put an Israeli flag emoji on his profile to rectify the situation. It's annoying because the more creative personalities I go for tend to be more anti-Israel. Now he's having fewer awkward conversations about the conflict, but he's also matching with people he's also matching with are less interesting.
Shucks.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. He's open to dating somebody he disagreed with on Israel politics, but reckons this gets really funny. Reckons the match would need to be fairly moderate in her anti-Israel views and not too extreme.
Free Palestine.
Okay, for apartheid, I draw the line at
genocide. Yeah.
No, I don't know. Wait, okay. Zach's downloaded Jewish dating apps, but prefers Hinge as the prompts on a person's profile forces them to write more. Political things tend to be more important these days than they were a few years back, says Zach. He didn't see Brexit or Black Lives Matter appear on dating apps, let alone the Ukraine war. Okay. My parents never had to worry about things like that. Okay, you can't get laid. Okay, have you tried being a better person? If you can't get laid,
what do you mean your parents never had to worry about meeting somebody they disagreed with on a date? Like, what
they didn't have dating, but they also didn't have dating apps back then.
But they had blind dates or like those like 60-second dates.
Yeah, but like sure. I mean, surely they went on a date with somebody that they disagreed with at some point.
I'm sure. Yeah. No, yeah, and I'm sure they met whoever like random weirdos they met at the bar. Where do people in the olden days met?
Don't look at me.
Then there's 27-year-old Jacob. Back in October, the conversation on a first date with someone who wasn't Jewish turned into an uncomfortable debate about Israel. Jacob says he is not keen on repeating that. When he matched with the girl of his dreams on Hinge, they quickly planned a date. The day before, they swapped social media links, and he saw her Instagram was flooded with anti-Israel content. The girl had been at anti-Israel rallies and was sharing the content that made Jacob uncomfortable. He decided not to meet her and texted her to apologize. He received this cursed message. Thanks for letting me know. Have a nice day. That doesn't sound like
that's not a curt response. That's a normal response. like that's probably like the best anybody could ever ask for like short notice canceling a date.
Yeah, exactly. Like many singles who dodge anti-Israel dates, Jacob was pleased he didn't waste more time on the girl, but wondered what the date would have turned to. Okay, so your fault for canceling the date. After that, he started matching with more Jews. Next month, Jacob met another woman on Hinge and discovered they were both going to the anti-Semitism march in central London and arranged to meet for a date afterwards.
The what? Going to the what? Going to the
The
what?
anti-Semitism march. What? What is that?
I totally missed that when I was reading through it the first time. It actually, like, that typo's actually in there. They were both going to the anti-Semitism.
No! Oh, it's the anti-Semitism.
So
It's the
I think we're watching Freud slip on a banana peel here.
I think it's a typo because they had made another typo before.
Well, yeah,
That's not a typo. What are you saying? It's a typo. They're saying they're going to the against the anti-Semitism. Like
Why
that's
were they? Okay.
That's exactly what it's called.
Okay. They met at the demo.
What is an anti-Semitism march?
So you're against anti-Semitism, anti-Semitism.
You're against anti-Semitism.
Okay. That reads really weird, though.
It looks weird and it reads weird. Yeah, it's like when they say they're protesting for Palestine or something. Like they use that word, and it's like you're
like really, really weird.
Well, no. You are marching for Palestine, protesting against Zionism.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But they met at the demo. They met at the demo, but the freezing weather at the parade in November, amid signs such as "United Against Anti-Semitism," didn't make for the most romantic start, and the pair were too cold and too tired for the sparks to fly. It could make for a romantic start if you were partisans or something. Actually, when I was in Belarus, I took this interview from this old lady who talked about how she met her husband. It was so romantic. So they were both partisans in this like forest, and so then like he brought over her some firewood, and then they fell in love and got married like in a month.
That's nice.
Nice.
Yeah. And well, they didn't actually get legally married, but they got married in front of the partisan like captain. But they didn't get married in front of God, and so she was worried that she was living in sin. And I was like, no, you're a partisan. You're going to heaven no matter what. And she laughed. Okay, I don't know why I did this. Okay, but that could be a romantic. So United Against Anti-Semitism could be romantic sometimes, right?
Yeah, I guess it just depends on how you're defining anti-Semitism.
Okay. 1944 Belarus, they're properly defining it.
There you go.
There has not been a second date. Okay, so it seems like this other Jewish girl didn't like you. So it's not. It seems like Jacob, like Jewish girls and non-Jewish girls don't like Jacob. So he must be a sucky person.
Yeah, like at a certain point, you do have to realize that the only consistent factor in all of your failed relationships is you, and that's true for everyone.
Exactly. There are a lot of people who only date Jews these days, Jacob says. He thinks it's just a way of pre-selecting and avoiding unwelcome surprises. Sure. There has always been pressure on Jews to meet each other. It's one of the factors behind programs as Birthright, but for many, it was not until October 7th and subsequent hike in anti-Semitism that matching with the Jew felt necessary. No, the factors behind the program of Birthright is to like propagandize you for Israel as a soldier. Jacob says, I didn't care before, but now I'll make a bit more effort to try and find somebody Jewish.
To be fair, that really annoying YouTuber guy, the H3H3 guy, he met his wife on Birthright.
H3H3 guy.
Yeah, I forget what his name is, but like their channel's huge, and he's a really annoying Zionist dickhead. Like he posts zero interesting content. He's not usually like political, like really, but like it doesn't matter, but like the channel's huge. He met his wife on Birthright, so like I mean, if that weirdo can get a wife out of Birthright, then like I mean, this guy's got a major skill issue.
Yeah. Just last week, a Jewish match told Jacob, "I go to Palestinian marches, not the Israel ones." So, okay, so here, look, a Jewish girl like Esther, okay, and invited him to an anti-Israel march in London.
Yeah.
So this is clearly not anti-Semitism. It's she doesn't like you because you're a fascist pig, Jacob.
She invited him like that, so like she's held out the olive branch on that one, and he was like, no, you disagree with me about genocide being good. So that one's on him.
Yeah, when Jacob said he found the bias against Israel to be extreme, the match asked, "What media are you reading?" She went on, "I found The Guardian and BBC to be biased in favor of Israel. They favor them all the time. I used to work in media, so I do know." Absolutely.
Oh, you don't need to work in media to understand like the evidence of your own eyes and ears on that
exactly. When they're like bullet hit recoiling child.
Yeah.
Unmatched with the women, but still on the apps, he hopes he won't waste any more times with those who espouse incompatible views. But in lieu of the perfect date, he's taken to organizing Jews-only wine and cheese evenings.
But like, if so he's bitching about it, but he hopes that he's not incompatible. So why would you bitch about it? They're telling you they're incompatible with you.
Exactly, but then the Jews only wine and cheese evenings.
Yeah, yeah, but and I mean, he's organized himself a little solution. It sounds awful, but he's still got a plan.
Yeah,
and that's what I'm saying. Like, what are these people like complaining about? Like,
yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. Just don't fuck these people that you wouldn't want to fuck, that don't want to fuck you. Like,
exactly.
like everybody's in agreement on this. What are you complaining about? Just move on. It just makes you sound really weird.
How long is this article, man?
Perhaps it'll be over vintage Gouda and Cabernet Sauvignon that he'll meet his match. If these singles had one shared message, it was they were keen to date. In Israel, there have been lots of marriages since October 7th, but there is a reported drop in sex drive among those who have experienced trauma. Okay, the only people who've experienced trauma are the Palestinians. And for those who committed genocide, apparently committing genocide.
What they're talking about there is those returning IOF soldiers like can't get, when they get back, they can't get hard without looking at underwear they stole off a Palestinian woman's corpse. Like, you know, that doesn't count as losing your sex drive to trauma.
I know, exactly. I agree. Well,
and the next thing I want you to say while Zionists instead of using Jews there, because
okay, while Zionists are depressed, anxious, and scared, the urge to form stronger bonds and even raise Jewish families more powerful than ever. Several Jewish singles Facebook groups have sprung up post October 7th. There are more than 6,000 members in a singles page that calls itself the world's largest Jewish singles group, while a group for New York Jewish singles has over 8,000 members. In the UK, Jewish Community Singles Group has grown to 2,000 members in the 4 months since it was formed. 42 couples say that they are dating thanks to the group. Sarah Haruni Davis and Genevieve Grissett set up the page and have hosted several face-to-face events, including a winter festive gathering and a Valentine's Day party. Meanwhile, others have taken to hosting Friday night dinners for singles. It's time to ditch dating apps and go to a friend's house for Shabbos, says one TikTok user. Another social media user says she hosted Shabbat dinner with 16 singles last week, and this week several of those at the dinner have been on dates. This sounds like you guys all came up with a good solution. No Zionist on a dating profile might make a Jew swipe left, but the Star of David on a prospective match doesn't necessarily make for a perfect date. Jacob now looks more likely to meet his match at one of his wine and cheese evenings. Hannah will be swiping away for the moment, but is sorely tempted by singles Shabbat. Most of my generation say that they want to free Palestine. But all I want is a good date who isn't turned off because I am a Zionist monster who wants to exterminate children.
Well, that was definitely a subject that really like urgently needed 6,000 words devoted to it.
Well, that's because the editor can't get laid. Editor of the magazine can't get laid, so he commissioned.
Yeah, I like how. Yeah, I liked how they were like just like hitting that return key every 2 sentences to like make it look like it was just reading like a series of fortune cookies for some reason.
Exactly.
But Matt, they're depressed and anxious because,
They need to have the Palestinian women's underwear to get laid. I mean, to get hard.
I have no. Nothing about that article really even made sense to me.
Well, basically, what you have to understand is the editor of the magazine can't get laid, not because he's Jewish, not because he's 59, divorced, and supports genocide.
Yeah.
All right, so let me pull this one up.
Oh, okay. So today was the first day of Ramadan. I hope you guys fasted. You're supposed to fast from dusk to dawn, and then you're supposed
to do that like every single day of Ramadan.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, but
there's no way I would.
No, you can do it because you have ADHD medicine. But you're supposed to do a little prayer after where you thank Allah and for the beautiful water, like something about water being good, bringing Allah's blessing. Giving somebody water brings Allah's blessing. And then they drink water and eat some dates to break the fast, and then they eat like a big meal. Well, Israel decided to drop some flyers in Palestine for their Ramadan greeting. Israel dropped leaflets on Gaza wishing them Ramadan Kareem and reminding them to feed the needy.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
This is just sadism. This is just like them like mocking these starving people in Gaza. Like for Gaza, every day is Ramadan, regardless of it being Ramadan or not.
Yeah, and it's like everything. You watch them at the border. Like CNN went and interviewed the protesters at the border. And they're just like, no, our babies are more important than their babies.
No, yeah. One lady literally said, one Jewish baby is more important than 1 million Gazan babies, or something like that. Yeah, and then they're blockading aid.
They're dropping these leaflets because they're running out of ideas. They've pretty much leveled everything in Gaza, and they do an annual raid on Al-Aqsa like every Ramadan.
Yeah,
but like now they're carpet bombing it, so that just like seems like it wouldn't really hit the same way. So
they do the March of Return. Don't they do the March of Return now? Isn't that when they pick things up, or is it the March of Return after Ramadan?
Usually they do it around May.
Oh, okay. So it's right. It's like after Ramadan then. So yeah, but they always kicked up things in Ramadan too, right?
Yeah. No. Every Ramadan for like years they would raid Al-Aqsa.
Yeah. They would raid Al-Aqsa while people were praying, right during iftar. It was
routinely, like multiple times during Ramadan, every Ramadan.
Yeah, and then they would like set up blockades where they'd harass people going in and out. Yeah, it was just cruelty. That's the point. But this takes the cake for cruelty.
Yeah. So we have one other thing before we go into the big interview, and share it now.
I'm a Black Hawk helicopter pilot.
I'm an Amer instructor.
I'm a combat photographer.
I'm an APC instructor. I'm a field observer.
I'm an education instructor.
I teach combat soldiers how to drive, shoot, and operate the functions of this armored vehicle.
I'm a search and rescue instructor.
I'm a captain.
I join our soldiers in the field to document their operation.
I'm a soldier in the military police corps.
I protect Israel's skies.
I'm a basic training commander.
I'm a Spike LR missile instructor.
I'm in the IDF Officers Corps. I'm a combat soldier in training.
I observe and protect the Israeli borders.
I'm in the IAF technical race.
I train soldiers to locate and target specific threats.
I protect and observe the Israeli maritime borders. I make sure our aircrafts are always ready for the next mission. I'm training to be a combat soldier and protect my country. I am protecting my country.
And I'm protecting my country.
Okay, I said it once. I said it once. I'm going to say it. I said it once. I'm going to say it again. The Israeli accent is Stitch doing a Hitler impression. Every single person I hear talking English in an Israeli accent sounds like Stitch pretending to be Hitler.
Okay, but the one that says "my country first" is definitely an American accent.
Oh
So
yeah,
and
the thing, yeah, this is for Women's Day, which was also yesterday, and I got a lot of flowers on Women's Day. In Russia, they actually celebrate it really hard, and everyone I know just gave me flowers.
And nice. Someone just wrote, "I'm 80% more likely to be hurt than women in any other military." So,
yeah, Israeli. So many IDF female soldiers have complained about that, and nothing happened. But you shouldn't. I guess they are conscripted, but if they're conscripted, there is nothing stopping them.
They are conscripted. There's compulsory service. It's very, very easy for women specifically to get out of it.
Yeah, so, and there's nothing stopping them from organizing with their fellow soldiers and turning their guns to the other side.
The other thing to remember is, regardless of that, every Israeli soldier that is currently serving and has ever been serving is doing so because they decided that genocide was preferable to doing 90 days next to people who run Taylor Swift gimmick accounts in prison, because that's the alternative.
Wait, the Taylor Swift fan account lady who refused to do it just got 90 days in prison?
That's what everyone gets. For refusing.
Oh yeah, I would totally do 90 days in prison over genocide.
Yeah, that's why that kid that they were like really hyping up for a while that said like it's the bare minimum we should be doing. That's why it's the bare minimum. It's a slap on the wrist, like, to avoid this compulsory service compared to like how the US used to run it. Yeah. I mean, no, seriously, it's nothing. And it's not like a recurring 90-day sentence like every time you dodge the draft. It happens once, and then that's like the end of it. It might be different now since like the military campaign has been like amped up, but that's historically how it's been. It's always been a slap on the wrist, and women had lots of outs for deferments and stuff, like specifically, like more so than the men did.
Yeah, and even if the men could, 90 days in jail is not that much. A lot of them have family. A lot of them have citizenship of other countries. They could just leave the country. There's a lot you could do. Turn your guns on the psychopath, like the defense minister.
Like, seriously, I've said it before. I'll say it again. Like, the only innocent Israelis have defected and are fighting in Al-Qassam.
Yeah.
I don't want to know how embarrassingly low those numbers are.
No, I think it might be higher than you think.
Yeah, maybe I don't even want to hazard a guess on it, actually.
No, I know that Hezbollah has some defected Israeli soldiers there.
Oh, that's good.
From way back when, from like 2006 or something like that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I would have defected for sure, like, after that military embarrassment.
Yeah, totally.
It's like, yeah, like, defect, join the real military because I don't want to die in the future.
Exactly. And Israel's okay. So another thing is, yesterday, Ilan Levy, that was really funny when he talked about like Palestinians getting 5 kilograms per day of food, but then his math was each food aid truck weighs 20,000 tons, 500 trucks, and then he just divided it, and then like I had to remind, like, everyone had to remind him, like, you can't eat trucks.
Yeah, the biggest weight on that truck is the truck.
Yeah, and that's about 10 tons. So he's like, was literally adding the weight, like the truck, unless they're sending cake trucks.
Well, he's just assuming that like every Palestinian is Truckosaurus.
thought he was just assuming that they're sending cake trucks. That would be amazing if they could make a truck out of cake that they send.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Just like, and then they could slice the truck, and then first get the food out of the truck, and then slice.
Take bites out.
Yeah.
Just like it's like Willy Wonka.
Yeah. And the truck
eat everything. So,
exactly.
Everything going into Gaza should be in cake form, like.
Yeah. All the flyers they drop should no. Oh, by the way, the U.S. Okay. Got into two flubs, not flubs, but I don't know, fuckeries, whatever. First, some of the aid packages had pork, and about 80% of Gaza is Muslim.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it was expired pork, so even the Christians couldn't eat it.
Yes.
And then I don't know how this happened, but there were like 5 food packages whose parachutes didn't explode, and then it ended up killing 5 people.
Yeah, they didn't deploy.
So wait, how does that kill people? That part's a little confused. Unless the food aid exploded. Can you explain?
No, I think it's like because it's in a big box, so it came out in the
parachute didn't deploy, so it's just like this, like.
So it just came down and just had gravity on it, and just.
Oh my God!
Yeah, I mean the gravity is just going to pick it up more and more, and so
and they're on pallets, right? So like, I mean, when those things hit the ground, I mean that's just like a wooden nail bomb, basically.
Oh my God! Okay,
it's not just like one box; it's like a big, huge pallet. That probably weighs. Normally, a pallet can weigh up to like a few hundred pounds and stuff.
Yeah.
My God. Okay. That's just so it's okay. Everyone would have been better off without the food.
Yes.
But Iran's Red Cross, that's pretty interesting. Today, their Red Crescent is operating, and they're making soup in Gaza. And no one knows how they got there, but it was magical. Maybe they flew in on a magic carpet. No, okay. We should actually quickly talk about that Atlantic article. Did you read that really racist Atlantic article about the Houthis?
No.
You're going to need to be way more specific than that.
Okay, let me quickly remember.
I'm trying to think of like Atlantic articles I've read that weren't incredibly racist. It's kind of what they do over there.
Do you want to look at the article or?
Yeah. I'm sending. Okay, I'm just okay. So this is the Atlantic person interviewing the head of the Ansar Allah, Abdul Malik Al Ejri. Okay, this is what he said. The Houthi spokesperson was right on time for our meeting. I was a little surprised by his appearance. I half expected to see a swaggering tribesman of the kind I used to meet in Yemen, mouth bulging with cot leaves, a shawl over his shoulders, and a curved dagger in his belt. Instead, Abdul Malik
that guy, honestly.
Hold on. It gets worse. Instead, Abdul Malik Al Ejri was a neat-looking fellow in a blue tartan blazer and a button-down shirt.
Wow. I do really want to meet that other guy, though, if for no other reason than the cot hookup.
Oh, well, no, in Yemen, cots all over the place. It grows like weed, so you can just like go to any house and they'll give you cot.
That I know, but it's explicitly illegal here.
Why is it illegal? It's like a strong coffee.
It's like I don't know. Why is any drug illegal? Like probably because like they're probably like the Philip Morris lobbied Congress at some point to like keep out like the competitive any potential competition for their nicotine out. Like, it wasn't a coincidence like how cannabis and hemp were criminalized the same year DuPont filed the patent for nylon.
Makes sense. Okay. But it's really like somebody commented I was expecting the next line to be, I expected him to come on a magic carpet.
Yeah. No, I mean seriously, like that's some wild shit. But the other guy does sound cool. Like I'm not gonna lie.
No, the other guy is an imaginary guy who doesn't exist.
Okay. All right. So let's play the interview because that's going to be an hour long, and it's already going to run till.
Who's being interviewed?
No, we
Rich
have an
Siegel.
interview with Rich Siegel. So I want to play that because that's like an hour long, and I'm just going to start getting.
I'm making myself some iced coffee.
Okay, because we still have the Sodu stuff to get through. After.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have a long broadcast. Please,
more to go. So let's start that, and we'll be back just under an hour. And
I'll make myself some nice iced coffee.
Yes, wait,
nice.
am I gonna have to like sit through the State of the Union?
No,
I've got a 12-minute clip.
Okay, excellent.
Okay.
Please super chat us. Please like and subscribe, and go to historically.net and become a paid subscriber.
We're dead.
Thank you for joining us this morning, Rich. How are you doing?
Other than that, I had this little accident. Yeah, I mean, I'm like tired and stressed out, and I've been like doing interviews every day because this video went viral. So that's the honest answer. I'm not really that okay, but I'm functioning. So
okay. Well,
how are you?
We're doing well too.
Okay.
So when I first saw your video, we aired it on our show last week.
Okay.
And the first thing everyone asked was, can you bring him on? So then I found you through your website. So you sing?
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about your singing career?
Well, I'm a pianist and singer, and I do. Actually, I made a video, but I wrote a song and made a video on it for Palestine a bunch of years ago, and it was pretty widely viewed. I don't think it went nearly as viral as my talk in front of the town council, but I mean, that was just one thing I did a bunch of years ago. But no, I freelance in and around New York, and I play events, piano bar, I accompany singers, I run an open mic, I'm a band leader, lots of different things. I'm a freelance musician. I also teach music.
Oh, nice. So what made you go viral was when you spoke in front of, is the pronunciation of your city Teaneck?
Yes.
Okay. In front of the Teaneck City Council, talking about certain real estate sales that are going on there on March 10th. Right. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Okay, so I talked in front of the Teaneck Town Council, trying to influence them to take action against an Israeli real estate sale it's a sales event that's going on at the Keter Torah Synagogue in Teaneck, New Jersey. Now, there's been some back and forth since all of that, and the synagogue is accusing me of misrepresenting what they're doing. If you look on the website, I think they're calling it, let me find it, it's a real estate sales event. And these events have been going on forever. Not forever, but for a very long time, yeah. Welcome to the Great Israeli Real Estate Event. And then if you scroll down, our expert speakers will address all your questions about purchasing real estate in Israel and focusing on, and then they list various locations. And the locations include Neve Daniel,
Mhm.
Efrat, and Ma'ale Adumim. And all of those are illegal West Bank settlements. And the word purchase is on the website. So I want to be clear about that this is an event that's focused on the purchase of real estate. The synagogue is now claiming that, first of all, it's not their event, that the real estate company is renting the space at the synagogue.
Mhm.
Well, why are they having it at a synagogue? There's all kinds of places that you can rent space for to sell real estate. Well, they're renting it at a synagogue because it's for Jews, right?
Yeah.
And they're also claiming now that it's not an actual sales event, that it's an informational event. So they're claiming that because I have made the claim that they're breaking the law. And they're also saying that it's open to Jews and non-Jews. Okay, so now consider this. First of all, that was tested over the weekend in Toronto.
Mhm.
When there's a video that's gone pretty viral at this
We have
point.
that video.
You have that video where a gentleman who is not Jewish and who was wearing a Palestine cap tried to get into a similar event.
And he
was
had
turned away.
registered for it.
Excuse me?
And he had registered for it.
And he had registered for it, correct. So he was turned away. And when they turned him away, you notice that a gentleman, and I use the term loosely, who represented the synagogue, asked him, "Are you Jewish?" And he said, "No." And then he said, "Well, then why are you here?" And the gentleman trying to get in said, "Because I registered the event." And he said, "Well, then why did you register the event?" So clearly the event was for Jews only. So the Keter Torah synagogue is now saying that the event is not for Jews only, and that it's not selling real estate, it's only for information about real estate. So in my view, they're backpedaling and actually lying. And the question that I have is that if it's for non-Jews as well as Jews, what happens if they sell a West Bank settlement home to a non-Jew, and then that non-Jew actually wants to move in? I mean, we know that the settlements are 100% Jewish residents. I mean, that's what it's about. So, I don't know. I mean, I'm a little bit slap happy at this point, from just all of the nonsense that's going on. Basically, there's a genocide going on in Gaza, and these synagogues are still putting on these real estate events where they're selling real estate exclusively to Jews, and that real estate includes illegal West Bank settlements. So, the Zionist agenda goes on in full swing while they're committing genocide in Gaza, and it's just appalling. So I got in front of the town council and I said so, and it struck a nerve because everybody's watching me tell the town council that they need to take action against this event. And I'm doing all the talking and you're interviewing me.
No. I want you to talk. So the one question I have is, has there been people who have gone to these West Bank settlements who have gotten turned away for being non-Jewish? Or is Israeli law so that only Jewish people can move into these West Bank settlements?
Well, I don't know the answer to your question. Has a non-Jew ever tried to move into a West Bank settlement?
I don't know either. I was just curious. But it seems like.
Have you been to the West Bank?
No, I haven't. Have you?
Okay, yeah, sure.
So
So basically, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Can you tell us a little bit more about your experience in the West Bank?
Sure. If you go to the West Bank, you will see that there are Palestinian villages and towns and cities,
Mm-hmm.
and that typically there are settlements that are typically on hilltops, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And so you can be in a Palestinian area and you look across the valley to the next hilltop, and that's a Jewish settlement.
Mm.
Now, it's the idea that a non-Jew would even attempt to live in them is kind of absurd, because they exist to promote Jewish settlement in this area. Now, I went to one settlement where there was a Palestinian home in the middle of the settlement. And that Palestinian home was literally caged in on all sides. And this family could only access their home by a single driveway. And that driveway was also fenced off. And the settlement was able to control that family's access to their own home, okay?
Wow.
Because it's for Jews only. And somehow in this one settlement, this Palestinian family was able to hang on to their home, but they couldn't hang on, and the community that it was once in was not able to hang on. So they're completely surrounded by a 100% Jewish settlement that at this point controls their every movement, but they kept their home.
Do you remember what the name of the settlement was?
Well, I wish I could. I took a tour with Miko Pellet, and I'm sure he has that information because he took it.
What year was it approximately?
I was there in 2017, exactly.
Oh, wow. Okay. And so how did you get to the West Bank? Were there did you go from the Israel side or the Jordan side?
I flew into a Ben Gurion airport, and I went directly from there to Sheikh Jarrah, in East Palestine, in East Jerusalem.
And a lot of them were forcibly evicted, I think 2 years ago, right?
Yes, Sheikh Jarrah has been a hotspot, but we stayed in an Arab hotel in Sheikh Jarrah in East Jerusalem, and we traveled from there. I've been to a friend's home in Beit Sahur.
Where's that?
And that's in the Christian Triangle in the West Bank. And this friend has citrus trees on his property, and he is not able to irrigate these trees, so they're not able to bear fruit. Okay, there's severe water restrictions to Arabs living in the West Bank. But if you go out the front door of his home and you look across the valley, and you can see the Jewish settlement on top of the next hilltop, and they have sufficient water for their swimming pools.
Wow.
Okay, yeah.
So that's really South Africa style apartheid.
Well, I think, there are South Africans, including Desmond Tutu, who has made the observation that things are worse. That's, so the idea that a non-Jew would even attempt to buy West Bank settlement homes, I don't know that it's ever been tried. I mean, maybe the gentleman who tried to get into the real estate event in Toronto, maybe he would have tried to do that. But, the whole point of these settlements is that they're for Jews.
I have a question. Who guards these settlements? Like, is there the Israeli army, the police, or are there militias by the settlers themselves?
Well, I think all of the above. I think the IDF has a presence there, and the police certainly have a presence there, and I think the settlers themselves are well armed. I mean, I can remember walking around the Sheikh Jarrah neighborhood in East Jerusalem and seeing, it's not unusual to see like a young couple out strolling with a baby carriage, and there's a a machine gun on the what do you call the piece of the baby carriage that shades the baby. Well, they've got a machine gun on top of it. I mean, it's a whole militarized society. It's a fortress. You know, they live defending themselves against this enemy that they think hates them for no reason, you know, while they're stealing homes.
Well, I've seen enough of Israeli propaganda accounts on Twitter, from like official propaganda accounts, that there is a big victimization narrative after they attack. Like yesterday, one of I don't know if you're following, Ilan Levy is an IDF spokesperson, and Israel has struck Lebanon over 500 times, like within a month. And then yesterday, Hezbollah is attacking them, and it's like, no, because you attack after 500 attacks, they struck back.
Yeah, well, that's kind of the way things go. I mean, look, if you look at the genocide that's happening in Gaza right now, you know, Israel is focused on October 7th. All the Zionists here in Teaneck are focused on October 7th. And first of all, they're telling a whole bunch of lies about October 7th. I mean, there was this beheaded babies lie that has been tossed out. There's all these stories about rapes that have been tossed out, but people still believe them, okay? And now we understand that, you know, a lot of the Israelis who were killed on October 7th were killed by friendly fire. You know, there's this Hannibal directive that has been utilized. We know that the Hannibal directive has been utilized. It was utilized when a prisoner was taken and they didn't want that prisoner to continue being a prisoner, and they wanted to kill everybody who kidnapped them, okay? So Israel does kill their own to prevent them from being taken captive. And it seems that happened on October 7th. But the only thing that they have to say about October 7th is that, you know, the Palestinians are terrorists and they committed a mass murder on Jews. That's all they have to say. You have to put October 7th into the context of a 75-year cleansing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how much do you want to poke the bear before the bear strikes back? You know, that's what happens, but that's what all colonizers do. I mean, you know, the French called the Algerians terrorists. You know, in Vietnam, we called the Viet Cong terrorists. I mean, you know, Nelson Mandela was called a terrorist in South Africa. So when colonizers occupy and when colonizers commit violence against the colonized, inevitably they accuse their victims of being terrorists when they take action to defend themselves. And that's what we're seeing. And that's what we've been seeing in Palestine for 75 years.
So you grew up in a Jewish household. What brought you to this anti-Zionism or pro-Palestinian activism?
Well, I mean, I was brought up very Zionist. I was, as a teenager, I was a Zionist youth group president. And in my 20s, I lived and worked in Israel. I mean, I was really on track to become Israeli at one point. And by the grace of God, I got a better job offer, you know, actually in Miami. And I left Israel to come home. And otherwise, you know, the brainwashing may have continued. I mean, if that hadn't happened.
Can you tell us a little bit about that? I've heard about there are like birthright trips where they show selective parts of Israel. Like, how does that brainwashing work? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, I mean, I'm a pretty old guy. So when I was young enough to go on a birthright trip, they had not come into existence yet. But birthright trips are definitely part of the brainwashing that goes on. And if you look at the name birthright, the name itself it's racist. I mean, it's saying you have a right to this land because you were born Jewish. That's what birthright means. Okay. And it's obvious to me There's been incidents on these birthright trips recently, by the way. There have been kids who are on these trips who say, well, we want to see, more of the West Bank. We want to see, how Palestinians live. We want, there have been kids who have walked off these tours. But that's an aside. My brainwashing, did not include a birthright trip, but basically it was just about being in a community which acts as a sort of a disinformation bubble, where we believe a bunch of lies and we regurgitate them and we repeat them to each other and we accept them as facts. And I see that happening here in TNAC, where they just believe what they believe and it has no connection to reality. So I was raised to believe that we Jews, we needed a place. I mean, after the Holocaust, we had the sympathy of the world and we needed a place. Now, mind you, Zionism predates the Holocaust by 50 years, okay? But subsequent to the Holocaust, the Zionist movement, which had been a very marginalized movement, all of a sudden was taken seriously, okay? So we needed a place, especially after the Holocaust, and nobody else wanted us, okay? It's like, and that's a lie, okay?
Yeah.
In fact, the restrictions on American immigration of Jews and British immigration of Jews were probably manipulated by Zionism in order to facilitate bringing Jews to Palestine. We know that there were Zionist agents in the refugee camps after the war that made sure that Jews went to Palestine and not to South America or Australia or other places where they could go. So we have this brainwashing, and if you hear Golda Meir being interviewed, she likes to talk about how this was the only place we could go, which is a lie. But the narrative of Zionist lies includes this idea that we went there wanting to be good neighbors to the Arabs, but they hated us for no reason, just like everybody hates us for no reason. I mean, Jews love to believe that we're hated and that we're hated for no reason. So anything that, any objection that anyone makes to our agenda is automatically anti-Semitism, as you know, and it's automatically irrational, as you know. So we were taught that the Arabs wanted to drive us into the sea. Okay, we went there wanting to be their good neighbors, and they wanted to drive us into the sea. So we conquered this territory. Okay. And then in 1967, they attacked us, so we conquered more territory. Now, it's all lies. Okay, what I found out much later was that there was an Nakba, that, first of all, the Zionist agenda always intended to remove the native population. And in fact, in the beginning, they removed not only Zionist Christians and Muslims, but, they removed not only Palestinian Muslims and Christians, but Palestinian Jews as well, who were victimized in the beginning.
Wow.
And, because this was an agenda to bring Ashkenazi European Jews to Palestine. Now, later on, they didn't have enough white Jews, so they started admitting Mizrahi Jews. And then they started manipulating, putting on false flag operations so that Mizrahi Jews had to come to Israel.
Yeah, one of the most famous ones admitted by Israel is the Baghdad synagogue bombings.
Well, they don't admit that. In fact, when I talk to Zionists about the Baghdad synagogue bombings, they accuse me of anti-Semitism.
No, but I can send you a record where the Mossad said that they were behind it.
Oh, you can send me that record, but that doesn't mean that local Jews believe it. And we also know about the Lavan affair in Egypt, okay? So you're absolutely correct that the Baghdad synagogue bombings happened and the Mossad admits to it, but it's still part of the disinformation that there was an expulsion of Jews from Arab and Muslim lands comparable to whatever happened in Palestine, justifying in retrospect what happened in Palestine, okay? So I'm going far afield of
No, you're going
your
great.
question.
Continue, please.
But,
You're
but,
teaching us a lot.
I mean, look, basically, I was taught a narrative that made us the victims and made the Palestinians into irrational, terroristic Jew haters. And I had to re-educate myself to find out that Zionism always intended to remove the native population, and that in 1948 there was a Nakba, there was this catastrophe that we visited on the Arab population, excuse me, by which we made 750,000 people homeless and founded the state of Israel on that violence. And then in 1967, Israel started that war with the intention of conquering more territory, and it conquered the balance of Palestine and also Syria's Golan and Egypt's Sinai, and it later returned the Sinai and did not return the Golan. So, this is the misinformation that I was raised with, and I had to re-educate myself to find out that I had been lied to. And it made me very angry, because I was a Zionist youth group president.
Wow.
And, I remember one evening where our adult sponsors brought in song lyrics that they had written to popular melodies that we knew. And these song lyrics that they were written included language about killing Arabs. So, as a teenager, I was singing songs in a synagogue about killing Arabs.
Wow.
Yeah. And Zionists like to accuse the Palestinians of teaching their children to hate Jews, which incidentally they don't do.
No.
And that's been proven. But I can tell you that I was indoctrinated to hate Arabs in a big way. In fact, to the degree that they had me singing song lyrics about killing Arabs. Okay.
Wow.
And I was indoctrinated to the extent that I participated in that. I was indoctrinated to the extent that I was in Israel on track to become Israeli at one point. And it's made me angry enough to where I really felt that I had to get involved with telling the truth, because I feel when I look back at my Zionist youth, I feel like, I was the getaway driver in a bank robbery, but nobody told me they were robbing a bank, and that makes me angry. It makes me angry that I participated that as an ignorant, brainwashed youth. It makes me angry enough to be loud about speaking the truth now, especially today, when more than 13,000 dead children are crying out from the grave in Gaza. I mean, Zionism has always been about colonizing and ethnic cleansing, and it's always been this racist agenda. But now it has descended into this mass psychosis where we justify genocide as we commit it. And they're continuing to push West Bank real estate while we're committing a genocide in Gaza. I mean, slap these people, make them wake up. What are you doing? I mean, we had the sympathy of the world after the Holocaust, and now people hate Jews because of Zionism, whereas Judaism actually forbids Zionism. And I mean, you've got everybody's screaming anti-Semitism when they're earning it,
Well, I saw this tweet by Congressman Richie Torres. So in New York, there's a big sect of Jews who reject the state of Israel as they think it. And he and all these rabbis were protesting in front of his office, and he posted this tweet saying anti-Semitism is its highest, and I'm like, wait a minute, these are rabbis. You're you're saying that they can't have different opinions.
Anti-Semitism is what? What did the sign say?
At the high, it's growing. He said something about anti-Semitism growing, and he posted a picture of a bunch of rabbis protesting him.
Oh, yeah.
And
well,
so,
the rabbis that come out, the black hat rabbis that come out, that's the Neturei Karta sect, and basically they're very dedicated. I saw a couple of them yesterday at a demonstration in Englewood, New Jersey, at a real estate event. And
wait, there are more. Okay, so there are more events in New Jersey, just not just TNEC.
Correct.
Wow.
And I recently found out about that there are 2 different real estate companies that are on tour right now, selling Israeli real estate or giving informational talks about buying Israeli real estate.
And on their website, they also talk about working with leading banks. Do you have any idea which banks they are?
I don't.
Okay, I was maybe if somebody can go to the event. So you said you're planning on protesting the event. Do you have a planned protest?
I haven't done anything to plan it. I haven't had to. I mean, because the that video went so viral that it's just happening.
Okay, that is excellent. Because I think it seems like people are paying attention. So what are your thoughts on what people who are concerned about this issue should do next? Because I see at every Biden event, there are people screaming free Palestine, ceasefire now, and the government is not really responding. They're just continuing with their mechanism of sending more arms.
Right. So you asked, we were talking about a few different things. Do you mind if I backtrack a little bit?
Go right ahead. Sorry, I asked so many questions.
All right, so you mentioned the rabbis who protested these events. Okay, so they are Neturei Karta. The thing that you need to know is that at the beginning of the Zionist movement, the Zionist movement was an atheistic Jewish movement, which is oxymoronic to say that. Okay, but I was raised in an atheistic Zionist setting that was posing as Judaism, and there are reasons for that I don't need to get into. But it's very interesting that so much atheism that exists within the Jewish community. And Zionism started as an atheistic Jewish movement, and it was rejected by Orthodox Judaism 100%. And then in the 1920s, beginning with a Rabbi Koch, who declared that even though the Messiah hadn't come yet, we were entering the Messianic era. That gave the okay for Orthodox Jews to embrace Zionism, and most did. But a significant number of Orthodox Jews never embraced Zionism. And the Neturei Karta are the very vocal arm of that group of anti-Zionist Orthodox Jews. So it's important to know who they are. And you pointed out that accusing Orthodox Jews of being anti-Semitic is pretty absurd. But I also get accused of being anti-Semitic, and I'm Jewish. Then you went on to talk about what? That our government isn't doing anything while these don't ask me your question again. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah. So I've seen a lot of public opinion in this war being against Israel and against U.S. action, such that there's so many protests, yet the U.S. government is acting on its usual programming or whatever, and so what can people do who are frustrated? Like, what can be done? It seems like nothing people can do can change anything.
Well, I mean, you're making an observation more than asking me a question, and I'm really as bewildered as you are. I mean, I was in Washington, D.C. on January 13th with 500,000 people.
Wow.
and all protesting the genocide in Gaza and supporting Palestine. What we're witnessing is that the people of the world know what's going on and support the Palestinians. And yet the governments of the world are very slow to come into harmony with the wishes of the people of the world. I mean, we're seeing there have been some statements made by leaders in different places that sympathize with the Palestinians. There have been some Israeli ambassadors kicked out of some countries, but the United States is continuing to fund Israel and to enable their genocide in Gaza, and giving a minimum of lip service to try to protect civilians better. I mean, when we're seeing genocide on this scale, what does language like that even mean? It means we're not willing to do anything. So, it's the fact that AIPAC, the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, basically controls our political landscape. They have ruined the careers of politicians who weren't sufficiently pro-Israel, and they vet all of the politicians that want to run for higher office, and they're trying to destroy, the very few truly progressive politicians who are in office. So, as long as AIPAC has a stranglehold on our political landscape, and as long as, do I dare step into an area that is so often deemed anti-Semitic? I mean, can we talk about the media?
Let's talk about the
few
media.
companies that is so heavily Jewish owned and influenced. And by that, I mean Jewish Zionist owned and influenced, because, better than 90% of the Jews in America are Zionists. So there's just so much control and influence on our media and on our political scene, that where is there hope for the wishes of the people to even take hold?
You're absolutely right. And just curious, with your activism, are you involved with any organizations or anything like that?
Well, I actually lead one. I'm the director of Deir Yassin Remembered. And I inherited that. I was on their board for many years, and I inherited that from the director when he decided to retire. And I'm ashamed to say that I haven't done very much with it, other than to put the name on signs when I go to demonstrations. But I want to do more with it to honor the director who gave me the directorship. I just have not been terribly responsible in that regard. But
Hold on. So can you create, like, if you have any need for certain skills, list them out, and maybe our viewers can contact your organization.
Oh, contact me, absolutely. Yeah, I need a lot of help with Deir Yassin Remembered. I need somebody to run the website, and I need a board. So yeah, I would welcome a lot of help. The objective of the organization has been to put a monument at the site of the Deir Yassin massacre of 1948. And of course, the Israeli government is not going to allow that. But that's the focus of the group. But the main activity of the group was giving out scholarships to Palestinian students. And we also had a drive to put up billboards. And that was an interesting thing, because I personally was involved in trying to get billboards up that were sympathetic to the Palestinian cause. And billboard companies were always very sympathetic when, or they were very accommodating, I should say, at first when I contacted them, because they're happy to get customers. And they don't turn people down for anything. You know, you can put anything on a billboard as long as it's not obscene pictures or language, right? And then they get back to me and say, "Oh, I'm sorry, we can't do that." You know, it's like they're the only thing that you can't put on a billboard is something pro-Palestine. You know,
Yeah.
Other than pornography, the only thing that you can't put on a billboard is a pro-Palestine message. Although that's changing, you know, and I've seen pro-Palestine billboards, but you know, a few years ago you couldn't do it.
So they were also afraid of the backlash.
Yeah, well, they get backlash. They
Yeah.
get backlash, and in fact, you know, this is what happens. I mean, anyone who has anything to say about Zionist activity is going to be accused of anti-Semitism.
And that's
And
a
nobody
vicious
wants to-
accusation that's hard to fight back against.
Well, I mean, I think the anti-Semitism accusation has become really tired. And, you know, on the graves of more than 13,000 children in Gaza, go ahead, call me an anti-Semite. Go ahead. I don't care, you know, and I think a lot of people are starting to care less and less about, you know, this completely bankrupt accusation of anti-Semitism when you have something to say about this Jewish country that has clearly gone completely psychotic and death crazed and is actually committing a genocide. Go ahead, call me an anti-Semite. Go ahead. So.
And yeah, so okay, so do you have hold on, Janet has a comment. Hold on 1 second. Okay, she said that look at the law of return. It extends to settlements to those married or have grandparents that are Jewish, but that is how the law is set up. So pretty much you have to be Jewish or one step from it.
Okay.
Yeah, that was just the law of return. So yeah, when you were saying that like non-Jewish people would, you know, go to these settlements, the rule is, the law is, you have to be just that one step beyond, like married to a Jewish person, or you had grandparents that were Jewish.
I'm so happy you told me that. So I guess I can become a settler now.
You could actually.
Oh, I know that.
Actually, I heard that many Americans are going there to become settlers, like some 80,000 people. Is that true?
Well, I don't know about the number that you just gave me. I know that, well, here, see, Israelis know that the settlements are ridiculous. And Israelis don't want to become settlers, with the notable exception of the ideological Zionist extremists who are determined to take all the land. Okay. So, you know, and a lot of Israelis are leaving Israel and they're going to Berlin, ironically. That's a favorite destination because, you know, living in a fortress is not really comfortable. And, you know, Israel was supposed to be this safe haven for Jews. Well, it's an unsafe place for Jews. New Jersey is a safe place for Jews. I live in New Jersey. That's the background to the answer to your question. So what's happening is the ideological zealots are here down the street from me in Teaneck, New Jersey, and in other communities like Teaneck, like, you know, in parts of Brooklyn, in the Five Towns area on Long Island, and, you know, in areas in Montreal and Toronto and Los Angeles, Chicago. So these communities that have ideological Zionist zealots are pipelines of support for the West Bank settlements.
I see.
And are giving not only support, but are giving them settlers. There are many West Bank settlers from Teaneck, New Jersey.
Wow.
I was corresponding with one at one point.
What did they say?
Well, okay, so I'll tell you the story about that. I discovered several years ago that Teaneck had a sister city relationship with the West Bank settlement of Beit Yatir.
Mm-hmm.
And I went in front of the town council at that time to put an end to that sister city relationship, and I did. Basically, what had happened was one of the local synagogues had volunteered our town to have a sister city relationship. And so online, it appeared that we actually did have a sister city relationship. They never went through proper channels. They never went in front of the town council and said, hey, let's be a sister city to an illegal West Bank settlement.
Mm-hmm.
They never did that. They just unilaterally declared that we're a sister city. I went in front of the town council and I put a stop to it, and the synagogue said, okay, well, we're still going to have a special relationship with this settlement. I said, go ahead. I mean, I can't control that. So somehow during the course of all of this, I don't remember how I made the connection, but a woman from Teaneck who was a settler in Beit Yatir got in touch with me, and we started a little email correspondence, And it didn't last long because she and I were not going to become friends.
Mm-hmm.
But she intimated that, very few Zionists will tell you that they actually favor ethnic cleansing. They
Mm-hmm.
all want to appear to be progressive. And she said to me something that stayed with me. It was like, well, it turns out she communicated to She communicated to me that her home was on the east end of Beit Yatir.
Mm-hmm.
So she said that if there's a Palestinian state, she might be right on the border of it. And that was okay with her. Okay. So she's part of this movement, this illegal movement to move the colonizers or the occupiers' population into occupied territory. She's part of that. But she wanted to prove to me that she was open-minded enough to say that, well, there could be a Palestinian state here. I mean, what would it look like if it's so carved up with all these settlements? But she was willing to entertain that possibility. She wanted to prove to me that despite being a settler, she was still very open-minded and progressive-minded.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's full of contradictions. For me, it's still like so much, like I see these images and then I see IDF soldiers on TikTok celebrating, putting up extremely obscene videos with underwear.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then I see the world kind of silent, and I'm like, what's going on? I thought we were not supposed to tolerate this.
Well, you get into the realm of where when you tell the truth, it sounds really ugly.
Mm-hmm.
And because it is ugly. Because Israel is a militaristic, racist society based on entitlement. And Israelis embody that. They embody that as tourists when they go to their tropical vacations in East Africa or when they go to Europe. I mean, Israelis are known as being horrible tourists, And so everybody will hate me for saying this, but I think it's all rooted in the idea that Jews are the chosen people. And I think that there are Jews who, I don't agree with it, by the way, And I don't call myself Jewish anymore. I mean, that's another topic, because Jews tell me that I can't quit, but an Orthodox rabbi actually excommunicated me. And there are things about Judaism that I don't like. And the idea that we are the chosen people, and I've heard that a better translation is the designated people. Okay. The idea is that by following these 613 laws, that arrive at some holy place and we can be a light unto the nations. And there's a lot, the idea is to be humble about that obligation to observe these laws. Okay? That's Judaism. But then it also says that, and I've had Chabadniks, the Chabad Lubavitchers, they go around saying, are you Jewish? Well, become more religious. And they try to get you to become a Chabadnik with them. And I've had Chabadniks promise me that, hey, when the Messiah comes, the Goyim will be our slaves. You can have slaves. And I heard two of them discuss, well, how many slaves can he have? They actually disagreed about how many slaves I'm entitled to. And I'm telling them, guys, a lot of people are not going to think that owning Goyim as slaves is a good selling point. You might want to rethink your sales pitch here. So being Jewish becomes a very confusing thing, But I think that what happens in practical terms is that the idea of being chosen creates a separateness. It creates a bubble by which they only associate with themselves and believe bad things about the non-Jewish other. And I think that the history of anti-Semitism is all about that. And I think that when you see how ugly Israel has become, and when you see how ugly Israelis have become, it speaks to the fact that Judaism, even though ideally it's about monotheism, ideally it's about one God, it's about more than just being about one God. It's about Klal Yisrael. It's about Am Yisrael. It's about the Jewish people. Well, what does that mean? What is the Jewish people as it relates to the rest of the world? And to me, mind you, I was raised in an atheistic home in a synagogue that was mostly atheists and was all Zionists, okay? And coming into a God awareness, to me, one God speaks of one humanity. One God speaks of a world that works for everyone. And it makes me not want to be part of a people who are separate. And this people apart, which is what the Jews have always been, is, in my opinion, at the root of all of the problems, at the root of the history of anti-Semitism, and then this remedy for anti-Semitism, which is Zionism, which has been about criminal activity from its very inception through the genocide that we're seeing today.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, with Zionism, you're absolutely right. And yeah, well, thank you for joining us today. Do you have any other comments, or how can people find you? Do you have any social media accounts?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook, and I just got on Instagram yesterday, and I'm trying to figure out how to use it. Yeah, I have a website that is in desperate need of being updated.
Well, if
That's
anyone can help him,
richsiegel.com.
please reach out.
I'm sorry. Yeah. And
Well, thank
So-
you so much for joining us. This has been one of the most interesting interviews we've had about the whole Israeli situation.
Dedicating the song and the video to the memory of Abir Aramin, daughter of my friend Bassam Aramin. She was walking home from school when she was shot and killed by Israeli border police. She was 10 years old. She was just as precious to her dad and to her family as my daughter Emily is to me and my wife. This is also dedicated to the 437 children of Gaza who were murdered by Israel in the recent attack. They were all precious. You tell me all peoples need land of their own. All the others have theirs, why not leave us alone? We bought it, we brought it to bloom in the sun. It's ours, always was. We won't let them take back our homes and our trees. We won't have them driving us into the seas. That's why we are forcing them down on their knees. But the children are dying in Palestine. You tell me of centuries caught in despair, pogroms, persecutions, and final solutions, the need of a homeland, safety for Jews. I hear you. You tell me of hatred, of fear and attack, of enemies everywhere we must fight back. The border towns under the gun, but 100 to 1. The children are dying in Palestine. You say there can never be peace till their outrages cease. Of course they say the same. You say it's not true that we forced them to leave, that Jews would do that, you just cannot believe. The Arabs are treacherous, born to deceive. They hate us. Well, it's true we've been hated, but when we arrive and take over their country in the name of our survival, is it any wonder that peace cannot thrive while the children are dying in Palestine? I'm told every state has its Jews, even Jews have their Jews. They've been there all along. You say we must search for some moderate way. We must find a middle ground to save the day. We shouldn't have settlements, they shouldn't prey on our nation. But where is the middle and where the extremes? We've settled their farmlands and stolen their streams. Our generous offers are not what they seem, and the children are dying in Palestine. We're trapped in this horror, it won't go away. We've conquered, but conquering won't win the day. We inspire their hatred, we watch in dismay. It's madness. Suppose we did take their land, planned it all along. Can we look at ourselves and admit we've done wrong? Can we all live together? Can we all belong? Can we stop all the killing in Palestine? Please, God, no more children dying in Palestine. In Palestine.
That was a very good song. Can you hear me?
Oh, I gotta unmute. Yeah, and I screwed up because I did not capture the right after that. He says you can get the song from his website and stuff.
We'll put a link in the description box.
Yeah. So I kind of messed up on that. So yeah, I wanted to play that for him because he brought that up in the beginning of the interview. So
yeah, that was really nice. So next week, this is great that today is daylight savings time. So then to next week, I'll only have to be up till 2 a.m. and not 3 a.m.
Yep.
I'm feeling really sleepy right now. So do we want to do Golda Meir or Joe Biden? I don't think I can do both.
Okay. I don't know. Like, can we do...
Okay, let's ask the audience. Do you guys want us to like mildly make fun of the State of the Union? Or do you want to hear the psychotic speech from Golda Meir? Where she kind of... No, this is not the psychotic speech. This is the speech where she also uses river. She admits that Palestine is from the... Okay, State of Union.
State of the Union? Okay, hold on.
Okay.
Just switch up my...
Is Matt even there?
I don't know. He's here, but he's not here.
Okay.
He'll hear us soon enough. He's on mute, so...
Okay.
All right, let me...
Is he on mute?
I don't know. He has himself muted.
Okay, fine.
Hey, I'm back. Sorry.
Oh, there he is.
Okay.
All right, so we're not going to play we had a couple other clips for the Israeli, but we're going to get into the State of the Union. So much.
Oh, boy.
It takes a second to... I don't know why it's been taking a second to load the videos.
It's fine.
Here we go. All right, so this is like a 12-minute clip I pulled off of PBS, but it had like everything, so we can fast forward. Just let me know if you can fast forward.
Let's how about this? Since I'm really sleepy, let's pick two moments.
Okay, but I don't know where the moments are.
Okay, let's pick this moment and then the next moment.
Okay. I think I want to get... Oh, hold on.
To address the nation. Now, it's we who face an unprecedented moment in the history of the Union. And yes, my purpose tonight is to wake up the Congress and alert the American people that this is no ordinary moment either. Not since President Lincoln and the Civil War have freedom and democracy been under assault at home as they are today. What makes our moment rare is the freedom and democracy are under attack both at home and overseas at the very same time. Overseas, Putin of Russia is on the march.
Wait a minute. What is your freedom and democracy doing in Ukraine?
Seriously, like Russia's not like they're not in the United States.
And your freedom of and democracy has nothing to do with Ukraine. It's not in Ukraine. No matter what happens to Ukraine, your freedom and democracy is not changing in America.
Except for we don't have them. But
I know Ukraine also doesn't have freedom and democracy, but that has nothing to do. That has everything to do with America. But America's whatever America considers freedom of democracy, it really is not in Ukraine.
Yeah, and they would have to give us freedom and democracy for us to lose it.
Yeah, exactly.
Sowing chaos throughout Europe and beyond.
Where?
If anybody in this room thinks Putin will stop at Ukraine, I assure you he will not. Wasn't long ago when a Republican president named Ronald Reagan thundered, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
And that was the biggest mistake. And anyone who claps for the tearing down of the Berlin Wall deserves to be slapped. Read Matt's amazing article about that.
Yes.
Now,
he's kind of yelling into the microphone.
Now my predecessor, a former Republican president, tells Putin, quote, do whatever the hell you want.
No, he did not tell Putin that. He told Israel that.
Yes.
It's a quote. A former president actually said that.
No,
bowing down to a Russian leader. I think it's outrageous, it's dangerous, and it's unacceptable.
That's racist.
Yeah, well, that's not the most racist thing he said.
I know he said illegals, and then he went on. No, I know that whole racist part, but this is just.
We're talking about a guy who launched his career as a segregationist.
Oh yeah, he talked about the racial jungle.
Yeah, well, like the big issue for in his first political campaign was against busing programs.
Oh yeah, no, I know. He in that he made a quote about the racial jungle.
Yeah, about his kids and everything. I wanted to mention too when because I was watching at the beginning. I really only got 8 minutes into it, but I was watching him come into it too. And I can't remember. I don't know who it was, but it was one of the Congress or senators. It was a woman, and she was like, "Oh, you'll do so good, and we'll clap so loud if you're like basically like they were all gonna clap if he was like screwing up speaking," is what it sounded like to me. I'm like,
yeah, like a conspiracy. They should have had loudspeaker claps.
The stakes here are pretty low. Like, I mean, if he can get through this whole thing without drooling noticeably, they would have considered it a victory. So
yeah, and without him confusing the president of Mexico and Egypt and
little things.
Oh well, you know that now in Egypt they call him El Mexican. Mexicansky.
Nice.
We have to stand up to Putin.
To do what?
Send me a bipartisan national security bill. History is literally watching. History is watching.
And you're on the wrong side of history because you were on the side of the Nazis.
We're historically and we're watching, and you sound like a dope.
Yeah, you sound like a dickhead, and this is like what you did in Ukraine during Maidan is unforgivable.
Yep.
At risk. Europe is at risk.
No,
the
it's
free
not.
world will be at risk, emboldening others to do what they wish to do us harm. My message to President Putin, who I've known for a long time, is simple. We will not walk away. My predecessor and some of you here seek to bury the truth about January 6th. I will not do that.
How is this related to Putin?
This is the moment to speak the truth and to bury the lies. Here's the simple truth. You can't love your country only when you win. There are state laws banning the freedom to choose, criminalizing doctors, forcing survivors of rape and incest.
Why are they screaming into the mic without intonation? I don't know.
Because they had to hop him up on stuff so that he could actually belt it all out.
Okay.
Like it's the same. Like I felt like in the way that he's talking
when they do with the horses.
Oh yeah. Okay. Can they get him through 4 years on these drugs?
No, I don't think they care to.
They'll probably kill him in another 2.
Okay, good.
To leave their states to get the treatment they need. Many of you in this chamber and my predecessor are promising to pass a national ban on reproductive freedom. My God, what freedom else would you take away? Look, it's a decision to overturn Roe v. Wade. The Supreme Court majority wrote the following, and with all due respect, justices, women are not allowed electoral.
Okay, there is nothing in the Supreme Court that says you need only 9 justices, and FDR, when basically they tried to take away the New Deal, said, I'm going to stuff the Supreme Courts with as many justices as I want until the New Deal is considered constitutional. And immediately the Supreme Court said, constitutional?
And he said that he again said, like Obama said, I am going to codify Roe v. Wade if you vote me in. He said that as a promise.
Then why didn't he codify it?
The Democratic Party has taken that stance for the last 50 years. They've not changed their rhetoric one bit on it, even after like the decision has been reversed effectively.
They knew it was coming up, and that they knew when it was coming up. They knew that they were bringing it up. He could have done something prior to, and he did not.
Yeah, that is
in the 50 years that Biden has been in office, you won't find a single, not one issue, not a single issue that he was ever on, what is referred to as the right side of history. It's only ever happened literally the year after something changed or something went through. He's always opposing or supporting the exact wrong thing of with a perfect inaccuracy rating.
He only came to the abortion thing in 2019 when it was running.
Oh,
yeah, pretty
like
much.
That's when he came around to it, because he was Catholic, so he could always use "I'm Catholic," so I don't have to support it. So
electoral power, electoral or political power. You're about to realize just how much you're right about that.
They would have realized a lot more if you stuffed the frigging court.
Clearly.
The court also does not have a police or army. There's no way you need the president to enforce any court decision. You can actually
right there though, they did that applause thing they were talking about, because whatever the last 5 syllables of that sentence were before everybody started screaming for no reason were completely unfucking intelligible. Go back. It was just sounds. That's how he just goes.
No, and that's why I wanted to bring it up, because you actually do see it in the videos that they were trying to clap over, so when he was screwing up and stuff.
Clearly, those bragging about overturning Roe v. Wade have no clue about the power of women, but they found out. When reproductive freedom was on the ballot, we won in 2022 and 2020, and we'll win again in 2024. Before I came to office, the country was hit by the worst pandemic.
Wait a sec. George in the comments said, how many abortions do you think Hunter has paid for?
God knows.
I didn't pay for them.
Okay.
Pandemic and the worst economic crisis in a century. Remember the fear, record losses. Remember the spikes in crime and the murder rate, raging virus that took more than 1 million American lives, of loved ones, millions left behind. A mental health crisis of isolation and loneliness. A president, my predecessor, failed the most basic presidential duty that he owes to American people, the duty to care.
Wait a sec. So he's saying that the isolation and loneliness, when we were going into that lockdown and the Democrats were all yelling because Trump didn't want to do a lockdown. This doesn't make any sense.
Okay.
I think that's unforgivable. I came to office determined to get us through one of the toughest periods in the nation's history. We have. It doesn't make news in 1,000 cities and towns. The American people are writing the greatest comeback story never told. Wall Street didn't build America. They're not bad guys. They didn't build it, though.
But
the middle class built the country, and unions built
the middle class built the country.
Okay, no, the middle class didn't build the country. Slaves built the country. The Wall Street is bad guys, and whatever bullshit he has to say about unions is disingenuous.
The middle class. I say to the American people, when America gets knocked down, we get back up. We keep going. That's America.
What are you talking about?
That's you, the American people.
Oh my God, Camilla Jayapal's
It's
gained
because
a lot
of you
weight.
America's coming back. It's because of you our future is brighter. It's because of you that tonight we can proudly say the state of our union is strong and getting stronger. Folks, the Affordable Care Act, the old Obamacare, it's still a very big deal. Drug away by repealing Affordable Care Act. I'm not going to let that happen.
You know what else you're not going to let happen? Universal single.
Yeah, you said you'd veto it.
We stopped you 50 times before and we'll stop you again. Many of my friends on the other side of the aisle want to put Social Security on the chopping block. If anyone here tries to cut Social Security, Medicare, or raise the retirement age, I will stop you.
Wait, wasn't he famously always like trying to cut?
No, well, in 2003, he cucked himself. No, in 2013, they did this deal with Mitch McConnell where they would cut Social Security and Medicare, but the freedom.
Biden, like over the course of his like ungodly 50-year run, like has multiple times offered to put Social Security and pretty much anything that could like pass as social welfare on this quote unquote chopping block
In order to build up bipartisan consensus, even when like the guy who was that
in exchange for nothing, like honestly, like
exactly. No, but the thing was that Social Security were saved because some like the Tea Party people were so nut jobby that even Mitch McConnell couldn't get his caucus together. So thank God for that.
Yeah, basically.
The working people who built this country pay more into Social Security than millionaires and billionaires do. It's not fair. We have two ways to go. Republicans can cut Social Security and give more tax breaks to the wealthy.
Hold on.
Border security reforms we've ever seen. Good to hear. I'll protect and strengthen Social Security and make the wealthy pay their fair share. In November, my team began serious negotiation with a bipartisan group of senators. The result was a bipartisan bill with the toughest set of border security reforms we've ever seen.
Okay. More than a border security, it was a weapons smuggling bill where they would send ungodly amounts of weapons to both Taiwan and Ukraine. In it, there was like some sort of border control or whatever. Like, I know that even border control is like really fascist, but just the fact that they're calling it border security and not weapons smuggling scheme is pretty disingenuous.
Mm.
Most of it was about sending weapons to Taiwan and Ukraine.
Yeah. You want to repeat that? I'm sorry.
Most of the bill is about allocating money and sending weapons to Taiwan and Ukraine.
Okay, you didn't have to yell it. You could just repeat it.
I'm tired. It's 5:38 a.m.
Let's get through this.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't like that bill, huh? That conservatives got together and said it was a good bill?
Yeah.
I'll be darned. That's amazing. The Border Patrol Union has endorsed this bill. The Federal Chamber of Commerce is, yeah. You're saying low. Look at the facts. I know.
I wouldn't brag too much about psychotic fascists are endorsing my bill.
And the fact that he's so proud of this bill. It's kind of like, you know, the ACA was a shit bill from the Heritage Foundation, and they have to act like they're so proud of it. So the Democrats get all their bills from frigging right-wing
think tanks.
Yeah.
Oh, you know how to read. I believe that given the opportunity for a majority in the House and Senate would endorse the bill as well, a majority right now. But unfortunately, politics has derailed this bill so far. I'm told my predecessor called members of Congress in the Senate to demand they block the bill. He feels political win, he viewed it as a political win for me and a political loser for him. It's not about him, it's not about me.
He's a better politician than you are.
Yeah. I just keep laughing because I keep looking over at Mike Johnson and his little smirk and his little head shakes.
Yeah, he's also uncomfortable often.
Yeah.
I'd be a winner. Not really.
Oh, now he was getting incoherent again, so that's why they're
Lincoln Riley, an innocent young woman who was killed by an illegal.
Oh,
That's
by
right.
the way, the Democrats in 2017 tweeted out, retweet if you think no human being is illegal.
Yeah. And also, it was weird because before this, like earlier in, when was this, yesterday or the day before, that one of those influencers, the brothers, the Krasinski brothers, I don't know if it's Brian or Ed at this point, I can't remember, but they tweeted out, they used illegal alien in their tweet too.
Okay.
So it had to be like a talking point or some weird thing coming from the Dems.
Well, then Biden backtracked with Jonathan Capehart. He's the one who said that Bernie was lying when he was like saying he marched in the civil rights movement, even though there were like thousands and thousands and thousands of pictures, and Hillary was literally a Goldwater girl. He then interviewed Biden, and Biden said it was a slip of the tongue. Of course, he doesn't believe anyone's illegal. Apparently he like backtracked on that.
Yeah, he said, I should have said undocumented.
Yeah.
So yeah, you said illegal. That's what you did, but it's actually still in our laws. Like they never, the states removed them, but the federal never removed illegal alien from its from its thing. And Krasenstein is the last name of the brothers. Yes.
Okay.
How many of thousands of people being killed by illegals? To her parents, I say, my heart goes out to you, having lost children myself. I understand. But look, if we change the dynamic at the border, people pay these smugglers $8,000 to get across the border because they know if they get by and let into the country, it's 6 to 8 years before they have a hearing. And it's worth it taking the chance of the $8,000. But if it's only 6 weeks, the idea is it's highly unlikely that people will pay that money and gum all that way, knowing that they'll be able to be kicked out.
Did he say gum all that way instead of come all that way?
Yeah,
that's a senior citizen brain talking.
Yeah, and I mean, this is not like most of them are not paying to get in. Like they don't have.
Most of them are fleeing death squads. So Biden probably funded in the 80s.
Exactly.
Yeah, pretty much.
I would respectfully suggest my Republican friends owe it to the American people, get this bill done. We need to act now. Well, I did do something by establishing the first ever Office of Gun Violence Prevention in the White House, that the Vice President is leading the charge. Thank you for doing it. Meanwhile, my predecessor told the NRA he's proud he did nothing on guns when he was president. Oof. After another shooting in Iowa recently, he said, when asked what to do about it, he said, just get over it.
Do you want to go on or do you want to?
I'm tired.
We picked on the couple of that I wanted to see. I just want to mention that these are what PBS picked out as highlights out of the 2 hours. Like these are or what was it? He was talking for like an hour, right? So yeah, these are the highlights, and that's how bad it is. Like,
yeah, and then Mother Jones today came out with an article saying Biden did excellent, and I'm like, oh, Father Cough, you should change the magazine to Father Coughlin from now on.
You know, Matt, how are you feeling?
About what?
About being forced to watch some of the Sodu.
I don't know. I feel like somebody slipped something in my soda for sure.
Yeah, I feel it's like a tranquilizing effect.
Biden has that effect on people.
Yeah, but Well, next week we're going to have a very exciting show. We're going to move off the topic of Israel and go to a more happy revolutionary topic of Haiti.
Excellent.
Yeah. So we're interviewing Kim Ives, and he and Dan Cohen worked on this documentary about. So basically, what's going on is that there's a ex-police officer turned revolutionary named Jimmy Cherizier, and they call him Jimmy Barbecue as a way of smearing him. And he like united all these like poor people in the slums of Port-au-Prince to take on the corrupt like bourgeoisie cartels and stuff like that. So because of that, the Haitian like puppet government couldn't like handle their own people. So they're like, oh, we need a UN troop to come and help us deal with gang violence. And this was not gang violence. The gang violence actually came from the government who had death squads and all this like whatnot, some of it from Israel. Mm-hmm. And so then the Haitian PM went to Kenya to ask for 5,000 troops. This is really funny. So the Kenyan police, they agreed to send their special police, but the Kenyan police are so corrupt that so President Ruto, for like respectability, said that like any police officer selected to go on this mission needs to have a fewer than 2 convictions. And so far they've instead of 5,000, so far they've been only able to find 400 police officers.
Wow, that's special.
Yeah. So then he was trying to come back to Port-au-Prince, and Jimmy Cherizier and his group, that they call themselves many names, G9 is one of them. They basically like took control of the airport and made it impossible for him to land. So then he had to reroute himself to New Jersey, and then he tried to come back, and the Dominican Republic refused to let him land, which is kind of rare for them to do this kind of a good thing. And then, so he had to reroute himself back to Puerto Rico. And now the U.S. is trying to get him to resign to get a second Guaido. But they might as well get Guaido now. But then, like in Haiti, like having a president prime minister who doesn't live there, who's like declaring himself the prime minister, is not gonna do much for his credibility.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. They're mentioning they brought up Professor Danny Shaw, which is so funny because I saw Esha was in a live on Twitter about Haiti, and I was joking because she was supposed to be sleeping. So like I like trolled her by going in and being like,
Yeah, I saw you.
She knew what I was doing, but then I jumped over to TikTok, and the first video that came up was Professor Danny Shaw talking about exactly what they were talking about.
That's good, because now is the revolutionary moment. So the U.S. is afraid to send American troops there because mostly American troops, they know American troops are going to get their butt kicked because they can't handle actual war. Like they couldn't handle Vietnamese peasants. They're not going to handle like former Haitian urban gang members turned revolutionaries. So they want, they're not going to get Brazil. They're not going to get any like they tried to get like some countries, but then like Barbados or Bahamas said they would send like 100 police officers. Yeah, they're not gonna. So far they haven't been able to get that coalition of UN, and it looks like the Security Council, like they don't even have Security Council approval to create a UN coalition this time.
Yeah. It'll be good.
So it'll be interesting. Maybe Haiti will be a better place soon.
Maybe.
Hopefully,
yeah. So we'll have to say Inshallah. We'll pray for that during our Ramadan, whatever we do for Ramadan. Yeah.
All right. You all, anything else, Matt? You all set?
No, I'm all
How
set.
is your article on the Tale of Two Koreas coming along? The audience are very eager to read it.
It is coming along well. I shall have it done soon.
Hopefully.
All out.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, we're doing a really deep dive on the two Koreas. Matt is going deeper. I did a quick half draft, and Matt is going super deep. So we're really excited about that.
Matt always gets to read the stuff you don't want to read. That's what I always figure out. She'll be like, I didn't really want to read it, but Matt's going to read it. All right. All right, everyone.
Okay. So with that, please hit like, subscribe, the bell, share it with your friends, WhatsApp it to your family, tell your grandma, hey, grandma, you should watch this. Send as many WhatsApps to your family, telegrams. Who else can you share it on your Facebook and tag all your family members?
Tattoo it on your face.
No, don't do that. Tattoo a QR code. And then say, scan me.
Scan me. All right. Good night, everyone.
Okay. Bye-bye.